You know that feeling when you finally gather the courage to tell someone they hurt you, and instead of receiving understanding or even a simple apology, you get interrogated? It's like you walked into what you thought was a safe conversation, only to discover you've stepped into a courtroom where you're suddenly the defendant. This moment happens all the time in kitchens, over late-night text messages, in parking lots after work gatherings. What most people don't realize is that they're making a fundamental psychological error in these interactions. You think you're having a conflict between two people who care about each other, two individuals trying to find common ground, but that's not what's happening at all. What you're actually experiencing is something behavioral scientists call an asymmetrical conflict, and understanding this distinction changes absolutely everything about how you respond. Here's the reality that might sting a little bit. You're playing a game of connection while they're playing a game of control. You're bringing vulnerability and honesty to the table, thinking that's what heals relationships. Meanwhile, the other person is collecting data, finding weak spots, stockpiling ammunition for the next round. The mismatch between these two approaches is what creates that nauseating confusion you feel after every encounter with them. Most empathetic people try to solve this problem by bringing more explanation, more logic, more patience, more love. You think you're bringing clarity to the situation, that if you could just find the right words or the perfect example, they would finally understand. But here's what the research shows us. To a high-conflict personality, your explanations aren't clarity at all. They're fuel. Every word you offer becomes another piece of evidence they can twist, another hook they can use to drag you back into chaos. So today, we're going to build an entirely different operating system, one that's rooted in actual behavioral psychology rather than hopeful thinking. The foundation of this system rests on just two concepts that might feel uncomfortable at first: detachment and strategy. Detachment means you stop feeding this dynamic with your precious emotional energy. Strategy means you stop improvising in the heat of the moment and start using a deliberate, planned system instead. Let's start with something that sounds almost too simple to be effective, but the science behind it is remarkable. Toxic personalities operate on what psychologists call supply. Your anger, your tears, your 3-paragraph text messages trying to explain yourself, all of that is supply to them. Think about this through the lens of classical conditioning, just like experiments with reward and behavior. They poke you, you react emotionally, and they receive a neurochemical reward that reinforces the entire cycle. This is where the gray rock method comes into play, a concept that describes total emotional disengagement based on the behavioral principle of extinction. The idea is beautifully simple in theory, though admittedly difficult in practice. You become as boring and uninteresting as a gray rock sitting on the side of the road. No drama, no emotional reactivity, no supply. You're essentially cutting off their dopamine loop, and without your emotional reaction, the interaction stops giving them that chemical reward. What does this actually look like when someone's attacking you? When they say something designed to provoke you, something like, "You're so dramatic," or "Everyone thinks you're unstable," you don't defend yourself or explain or argue, you simply say, "Okay," or "I hear you." When they demand that you explain yourself right now, you calmly state, "I'm not discussing that." You're not trying to win the conversation or prove them wrong, you're trying to starve the entire interaction of oxygen so it can't keep burning. But I need to give you a really important warning here, because this is where most people give up on the technique. When you first start doing this, they're not going to immediately back off and leave you alone. They're going to get worse, sometimes significantly worse. Clinicians call this an extinction burst, and it's a predictable part of the process. Imagine a vending machine. If you press the button and nothing comes out, you don't just calmly walk away. You press harder, you shake the machine, you might even kick it. When you go gray rock, they're going to shake the machine. They'll escalate their attacks, increase the volume, bring up past wounds, anything to get that familiar emotional reaction from you. This is the critical moment where you absolutely must hold the line. If you react during the extinction burst, you've just taught them something dangerous. You've taught them that they simply need to shake you harder and longer next time, and the abuse will intensify, because it worked. Now, gray rock isn't always practical for every situation in your life. If you have to co-parent with someone or work alongside them in a professional environment, being too cold and detached can actually backfire on you. It can make you look difficult or uncooperative to outside observers. This is where a modification called yellow rock becomes incredibly valuable. It's basically gray rock, but with a thin layer of polite social camouflage so you look reasonable to anyone watching. With yellow rock, you respond to the logistics and the facts while completely stripping out any emotional content. So if they send you an email saying, "You're selfish and you never cared about this team," your yellow rock reply might be, "Thanks for the email. The project deadline is Tuesday at 3. Please confirm you received the files." You don't acknowledge the insult, you don't defend yourself against the accusation, you simply respond to the factual elements and move forward professionally. The strategic genius of yellow rock is all about managing the narrative for outside observers. Manipulative people love to take your silence or your emotional reactions and show them to a boss, a judge, or mutual friends as proof that you're the difficult one, the uncooperative one, the problem. Yellow rock completely kills that narrative because on paper, you look professional, kind, and entirely reasonable. But energetically, psychologically, you're still giving them absolutely nothing to feed on.
But what about situations where you can't leave, where gray rock feels too harsh for your own heart? Maybe these are your parents or a sibling you still care about despite everything. In these cases, we use something called compassionate detachment. I want you to visualize an invisible glass wall between you and them. You can see them, you can hear their words, but their emotional energy hits that glass barrier and simply slides down without penetrating your internal system. Here's a powerful cognitive hack that shifts your entire psychological position in these interactions. Instead of asking yourself, "Why are they doing this to me?" which keeps you trapped in victimhood and personal pain, ask yourself, what must it feel like to be trapped inside a mind that needs this much control? This question shifts your brain from what neuroscientists call the default mode network, which takes everything personally, to the task-positive network, which observes and analyzes without absorbing. But I need to be really clear about something, especially for those of you who are natural helpers and healers. This observation, this compassionate curiosity about what's happening inside their mind, is not an invitation to save them or fix them. The glass wall isn't just protecting you from their attacks, it's also protecting you from your own savior reflex, that deep urge to heal everyone around you. You're observing a system with fundamentally broken circuitry, and you cannot love a machine into having a soul. Now let's talk about the trap that catches almost every single empathetic person at some point. It's called JADE, which stands for justify, argue, defend, explain. When someone misreads your intentions or twists your words, your natural instinct is to clarify the situation. But with a high-conflict personality, explanations don't bring clarity, they bring ammunition. Every detail you provide becomes another angle of attack, another thing they can distort and use against you later. So from this moment forward, you're going to install a mental firewall. You never justify, argue, defend, or explain your choices or feelings to someone operating in bad faith. Because the moment you say something like, "I didn't mean to hurt you, I was just exhausted because I worked a double shift," you've already lost. You just handed them two brand new things to attack, your intentions and your work schedule. Instead, you use a protocol called BIF, which means brief, informative, friendly, and firm. Here's what BIF looks like in actual practice. They send you a hostile text saying, "I can't believe you did that, you're disgusting." A BIF response would be something like, "I'm not discussing this over text. If you have a logistical question about the schedule, let me know." It's brief because it doesn't engage with the drama, it's informative because it states your boundary clearly, it's friendly because the tone remains neutral and professional, and it's firm because it closes the door on further chaos. Finally, we need to protect something absolutely crucial, and that's your sense of reality itself. The most dangerous weapon in a toxic person's arsenal is gaslighting, the systematic rewriting of history until you genuinely doubt your own memory and sanity. This is why you need what I call an external anchor for your memory. You need to become a documentarian of your own life. After every significant interaction, take 60 seconds and write a factual log, not a diary of your feelings, but cold, hard facts. Record the date, the time, and exactly what was said as objectively as possible. So when they inevitably tell you, "I never said that," or "That's not what happened," you don't search through your increasingly confused memory trying to figure out what's real. You look at your log. You look at the facts you documented when they were fresh. This practice isn't about being paranoid or building a legal case. It's about maintaining your grip on objective reality when someone is actively trying to make you doubt it. And for those of you who are highly sensitive, who feel everything deeply, you have one more tool that's absolutely essential. It's called somatic validation. Gaslighting works because their words often sound so convincing, so reasonable on the surface. They might be saying, "I love you," or "I'm just trying to help," while their actions tell a completely different story. But here's the thing, your body knows the truth, even when your mind is confused by their words. If their voice is sweet and their words sound caring, but your chest suddenly feels tight, your stomach starts churning, or you feel this inexplicable wave of exhaustion wash over you, trust the body over the words. Your nervous system is an incredibly sophisticated threat detection system. It's picking up on predatory intent that's hidden underneath the pleasant surface. When there's a mismatch between what you're hearing and what you're feeling in your body, always prioritize what you feel. Your body is telling you the truth that their words are designed to hide. Dealing with a high-conflict person is ultimately not about winning the argument, and I need you to really absorb this. You will never win the argument. That's not how this works. It's about reclaiming the space in your head that they've occupied for too long, space that belongs to you. When you use Grey Rock, you detach from their need for supply. When you use Biff, you detach from their chaotic communication style. When you document reality, you detach from their distorted version of events. And slowly, gradually, you realize you freed yourself from a trap you didn't even know you were in.